Apple's been making the switch away from Intel, and it sounds like Tesla might be as well, according to the first performance Model Ys coming out of the Giga Shanghai facility. We are now seeing in the tech specs that they're switching to AMD Ryzen processors. So to clear up a lot of confusion out there, I was reading a lot of articles that didn't really understand what this means. This is a new CPU. This does not mean they are using the same graphics cards that are in the refreshed Model S and X. I think way too many people saw this as a GPU upgrade, and we don't know too much about the GPU just yet. According to Sawyer Merritt, there's a Radeon Vega 1 GPU of some kind within the performance Model Y now, but that does not mean this new updated CPU grants the performance Model Y with 10 teraflops of GPU power. That would be cool, I agree, and that would be very, very nice, but frankly, of all the reviews I've seen with the refreshed Model S and X, not too many of them are dwelling on the next generation gaming performance, and as much as Tesla bragged about how you'd be able to play Cyberpunk and The Witcher, and you'd have the GPU power of a PlayStation 5, they still haven't brought most of those games they've advertised that can take advantage of that power to the refreshed Model S and X. Maybe they're waiting on the game devs to port over the software or something, but yeah, it's still not really even out yet. But hopefully long term, Tesla will have some time to bring in some more entertainment features and some more games. Understandably, they're probably all focused on FSD development right now, but why should we care at the end of the day? This new performance Model Y coming out of the Chinese factory has this updated CPU. What does that mean? Well, it should improve general responsiveness and fluidity within the user interface, which I'm actually really excited about and proud Tesla is making this switch. We don't know if it's going to be exclusive to the performance Model Y. I don't think that's likely. My guess is this is the, latest trim option that they've introduced, and over time they will probably switch all of their vehicles, even the ones made in the United States, to AMD Ryzen chips because they're faster and more capable than the Intel Atom CPUs they've been using in the Model 3 and Y for so long, which aren't like the most fast and responsive CPUs in the world. Don't get me wrong, a Tesla's infotainment screen and their software is certainly better than any other car I've ever seen, but when you get used to using an iPad and an iPhone, and you're used to how quick and responsive those touchscreens are, when you switch to a Tesla, it's a little bit laggy. It can be a tad bit behind, particularly when you start opening web apps like the YouTube app or Netflix, and you're scrolling through lots of titles. That's when you start to see the software hang and get a tad glitchy, and the CPU upgrade should allow for better longevity. It should mean that it's better at displaying lots and lots of content, which from the early impressions we've seen of people filming within the performance Model Y, they open big web pages that have lots of artwork, lots of graphics, and they're able to scroll through them without the software getting too glitchy. It feels a lot more responsive. And the other change I should probably mention as well is this performance Model Y is also making the switch to the lighter, better lasting 12-volt lithium-ion battery instead of the 12-volt lead-acid battery that most Teslas have been using for so long. The new Model S also switched to the lithium battery, which should age far better than the lead-acid versions. Hopefully that lithium option does come to the United States as well. But seeing this certainly got me excited, just because in all my years in covering Tesla, I can't recall that many times throughout their history that they've decided to make this big a switch and say, okay, we're gonna use a new standard now for our CPUs because we want to improve general UI responsiveness and fluidity, which I do think is important, and also something a lot of other automakers don't put too much attention to. I thought I was really picky and being very precise when the first time I got into a Model 3, I was sitting in the back seat and I thought, this is cool, but tiny detail, I want these USB-A ports to become USB-C because I think that's the better port and more cables are switching to that. But I never expected Tesla to listen or change that quickly, when in reality, like a year after I made that complaint, they started adopting USB-C in the Model Y and then switched all of their vehicles over to USB-C pretty early on. It was actually quite a bit faster than most of the rest of the auto industry switching to Type-C. So I like it when Tesla cares about attention to detail like that, and even though the games haven't really been brought to these next generation vehicles yet, I do appreciate how Tesla is seeing what the PC world is doing right now, and they're seeing how AMD is making faster, cheaper, more efficient CPUs and GPUs than Intel, so they don't look at it as, well, we're a car, we don't need to worry about our processor. They're like, no, people buying these vehicles are going to be using them for potentially decades, knowing how well these batteries age, and we want to make sure that the hardware we're shipping in all of these computers can age well with the times and doesn't get too old and too laggy too quickly. So I really, really hope this is not a restricted to performance Model Y thing. It would be kind of funny, I mean, if Tesla was like, well, okay, if you're willing to spend a little bit extra on on your car. You get the bigger tires, you get the better brakes, you get the spoiler on the back, you get a faster 0 to 60 time. And with all of these performance enhancements, you also get an improvement in CPU and GPU performance, so that car can play a bit more games. Yeah, I can somewhat understand the idea of upselling people on that, but I feel like the performance upgrade should just be about acceleration, and hopefully in the future all of these CPU and GPU upgrades will be standard across the entire lineup. We've seen this countless times in the past where Tesla will introduce a new standard or a new design trait for the Chinese market, and then a couple months go by and they introduce it in the US market, so I think this will be no exception, and within the next few months we'll probably see Tesla start switching to Ryzen chips across all of their vehicles, including the cheapest Model 3. Just puts them that much further ahead of legacy auto and all of the competition. Not like they needed much of an advantage anyway, they were already crushing them, but still an exciting change nonetheless. What do you guys think of Tesla switching to AMD? Do you think someday Tesla could pull an Apple and start designing their own chips in-house that are not just optimized for full self-driving, like they already have those, but also start designing their own infotainment chips that handle the UI and the gameplay and all of the entertainment systems built in? Feel free to let me know down below. Thank you to everyone supporting me over on Patreon so that hopefully I can buy a Model Y one day with AMD Ryzen chips on the inside. And thank you all for watching. Hope you have an excellent rest of your day. Take care.